Get ready to dive into an epic adventure across the Mediterranean, where ancient mysteries and jaw-dropping discoveries await. From the fiery wrath of Mount Vesuvius to the sunken cities of lost civilizations, this is a wild ride through 3,600 years of history. Buckle up as we explore volcanic eruptions, epic naval battles, and the engineering marvels that shaped the world, all uncovered with cutting-edge technology that drains the sea to reveal secrets buried for millennia. Let's embark on this thrilling journey together. Based on the information provided, the eruption of Mount Vesuvius around 1 p.m. on an afternoon in 79 AD initially produced a fall deposit of white pumice, which rained down lightly without immediately destroying structures or items like pots in Pompeii. This phase lasted until around midnight, creating a dark, ash-filled environment akin to a snowstorm, with potential fires from hotter materials. By midnight, the volcano's column collapsed, unleashing pyroclastic flows, raging currents of hot pumice, ash, and gas racing down at hundreds of miles per hour, scorching everything in their path. Pompeii's streets hold thousands of body molds, frozen in their final moments. But in Herculaneum, few bodies were found in the town until excavators reached the beach. Analysis revealed a mix of locals and foreigners, including slaves marked by ankle rings. In Herculaneum, exploded skulls showed instant death from extreme heat, not suffocation as once thought. In Herculaneum, the truth about the victims' deaths emerges from the heat. Unlike Pompeii, where bodies retained their pugilistic attitude, Herculaneum's remains show no such pose. The flesh vanished rapidly, preserved only as bones due to scorching temperatures far higher than in Pompeii. Many in Herculaneum sought safety in boat chambers, a refuge from earthquakes they knew well. But Vesuvius, unrecognized as a volcano, turned this haven into a deadly trap as the eruption unleashed its fury.
Ah! It's coming! Run! Run!
We're not gonna make it!
What's remarkable here is the distinct layering. Each tells a part of the story of that fateful day.
The mystery deepens with the layers of debris. In Herculaneum, the first two of at least 6 pyroclastic flows struck, burying the city under 60 feet of volcanic material. Pompeii escaped the initial surges. What determined life or death? In Herculaneum, the intense heat of early flows killed instantly. In Pompeii, later flows and gas dynamics left different marks. One volcano, one eruption, yet the outcome hinged on timing and place. At midday on that fateful day in 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius erupted with unimaginable force. Millions of tons of rock, pumice, and ash blasted into a 20-mile-high column, carried by stratospheric winds directly over Pompeii. While Pompeii suffered, most of Herculaneum's inhabitants fled north toward Naples. But some remained, seeking refuge in boat chambers, unaware of the danger closing in.
We made it.
Thank goodness.
I wasn't sure we would.
Pompeii escaped the initial flow, enduring instead a relentless pumice shower for 18 hours. A brief calm followed, until a new pyroclastic flow struck, cooler but still deadly. The fourth, fifth, and sixth pyroclastic flows sealed the fate of both cities, burying them under layers of debris. Even the preserved scenes today speak of the harrowing end. Beneath the Mediterranean's clear blue waters lie relics of ancient empires and the seismic forces that shaped them. With cutting-edge underwater scanning, we're now revealing these secrets in stunning 3D. From the ashes of Vesuvius, we turn to another apocalyptic disaster. What triggered the collapse of Europe's first civilization, the Minoans, 3,600 years ago, 15 centuries before Rome's rise? Can a 2,500-year-old shipwreck unlock ancient Greece's secrets? The Minoans ruled the Middle Sea, building magnificent palaces like Knossos on Crete, adorned with frescoes celebrating life and nature. Yet myths whisper of a labyrinth and a minotaur, hinting at a darker side. Their power grew through trade, olive oil and pottery for gold and ivory, until the 15th century BC, when they vanished. The key lies on Santorini, where calm waters hide a deadly secret. Marine geologist Evai Nomikou uses multi-beam sonar to scan Santorini's depths, draining the Mediterranean in 3D to reveal a vast crater, a remnant of a colossal volcano. Its cliffs rise 1,000 feet and plunge another 1,000 to the seafloor, big enough for 10,000 Olympic stadiums. On the crater's rim, the ruins of Akrotiri, undiscovered until 1967, tell of a thriving city buried by ash when the volcano erupted, mirroring Pompeii's fate centuries later. Deep in Akrotiri's ruins, a window to the past opens. These stone steps, shattered not by ash but by an earthquake, tell of a town abandoned, then rebuilt, until an apocalypse struck. Around 1625 BC, a cataclysmic eruption engulfs Akrotiri, burying it under thick debris. This same event marks the fating of the Minoans, 70 miles away on Crete. But how? Draining the Mediterranean uncovers vast stone terraces, pyroclastic flows of superheated gas and molten rock, stretching 20 miles, reaching temperatures of 1,000 Celsius. This eruption spewed 14 cubic miles of debris, one of Earth's largest explosions. The volcano unleashes millions of tons of lava into the sea, triggering tsunamis. On Crete, 70 miles away, walls of water up to 30 feet high sweep away coastal towns, catching the Minoans off guard. "500 miles from Crete off Cyprus, a 2,500-year-old shipwreck emerges. Post-Minoan Greece thrives with trade, spreading culture across the Mediterranean, until this vessel sank. The ship's grouped amphora suggest it didn't capsize. Likely overwhelmed by a storm, its open deck flooded, sinking with its precious cargo. In the 3rd century BC, Rome, already master of mainland Italy, sets its sights on the Mediterranean. but its weak navy pits it against Carthage, a seafaring superpower. The first decisive clash unfolds near Sicily's Egadi Islands. Ancient historian Polybius describes 400 ships and 100,000 men turning the sea red with blood. But his account, written decades later for Romans, raises doubts. Marine archaeologists, led by Bill Murray, follow fishermen's leads, using sonar and a remotely operated vehicle to scan the vast seabed. Suddenly, a startling shape emerges 300 feet down. Draining the Mediterranean reveals the mystery. A 3-foot-wide bronze battering ram, its jagged edges scarred from battle. A superweapon of ancient naval warfare. Battle-damaged edges tell of a violent collision, a clue to the Egadi Islands' epic fight. At the Battle of the Egadi Islands, the clash was fierce. Ancient accounts tell of men catapulted into the sea by a ram strike, bronze clashing against bronze in a decisive blow. Draining the Mediterranean uncovers a pattern. 10 more bronze rams scattered across 2 square miles, confirming a major naval battle. A single Carthaginian amphora, dated to the 3rd century BC, may hold the key. Polybius notes Carthage planned to offload supplies at Mount Vesuvius, but the Romans ambushed them on March 10, 241 BC. This seabed, a graveyard of thousands, remains a secret site, the first ancient battleground ever found. 2,000 years ago, Rome's port of Baiae, near Vesuvius, became its Sin City, lavish villas and debauchery famed across the empire. But Baiae's fate turned as its volcanic crater, part of the Campi Flegrei, began to breathe, rising and falling with magma chambers. As magma pressures shifted, Baiae sank, ending its parties as the Roman Empire declined. 15 miles from Rome, Portus solved the empire's grain crisis. Draining the site reveals a hexagonal basin, warehouses, and canals linking to the Tiber. Portus's canals and basin, a marvel of engineering, ensured Rome's survival. Off Spain, the Bou Ferrer wreck, dated to Nero's reign around 66 AD, carried amphorae of garum and a ton of imperial lead, likely for his golden house after the Great Fire of 64 AD. The Bou Ferrer isn't just another cargo ship, it's taking at least a ton of metal to the most powerful man in the world. So which emperor could it be destined for, and why does he need a boatload of lead? Off the coast of Spain, a remarkable Roman shipwreck called the Bou Ferrer conceals a secret cargo, a fortune in lead, possibly destined for the Emperor of Rome himself. The drained wreck offers some clues. The amphorae are off-center, they've shifted towards the port side. Such a heavy cargo would never be loaded like this. As Rome masters the seas, ships like Bou Ferrer are the empire's lifeblood, carrying precious metals, slaves, and especially grain, to and fro. In Judea, Caesarea Maritima's artificial harbor, built on sand with hydraulic concrete, showcased Roman ingenuity until a tsunami in 115 AD shattered it. A tsunami likely destroyed it, but Rome's concrete legacy spread across the Mediterranean. Over 2,000 years ago in Judea, Romans perform an engineering miracle at a place called Caesarea Maritima. Revealed for the first time in centuries, the foundations of the huge harbor walls had to be built on shifting sand. It seems an impossible task. The sediment layer from the time of the harbor reveals a clue. Historical records reveal that Roman engineers ferry tons of pozzolana to Caesarea. It's known as hydraulic concrete, and it's a huge milestone in the history of construction. For years, how the Romans used this modern building material to create this harbor remains a mystery. 1,000 years ago, the Romans worked with concrete, just like we do today. We now know how Caesarea Maritima was constructed. Amongst the drained ruins, there's a clue to what happened. These layers suggest that something cataclysmic churned up the sediment. It seems likely that this great artificial harbor is reduced to a fraction of its former glory, just as Rome tightens its grip on the Mediterranean world. But Caesarea's part in the history of the Roman Empire is not over. The Romans apply the power of their wondrous concrete everywhere, establishing ports and harbors across the Mediterranean wherever they need. 1,000 years will pass before other nations, Portugal and Spain, come close to matching what the Romans achieve, domination of the known world through an empire of the seas. From Vesuvius's fiery wrath to the sunken treasures of Baiae, Portus, and Caesarea, the Mediterranean has spilled its secrets, volcanic doom, epic battles, and engineering genius that fed empires and sank cities. But as the last waters recede, at 06:51 a.m. EDT on June 12, 2025, a shadow lingers. What ancient enigma still lurks beneath the waves, waiting to whisper its tale to the brave who dare to listen? Hey adventurers, if you love this epic journey through the Mediterranean's hidden tales, share, like, and subscribe to Unseen World Tales. More untold stories await. Join us to uncover the world's greatest mysteries.